Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Grue. And for Grue today, we got a very great episode with a very great guest, and his name is Fred Rosser, and he is a professional wrestler, and he was known as Darren Young in the WWE, and he's wrestling now for New Japan Pro Wrestling, and he's done like, hey. All right, welcome to Grue, and thank you so much for coming on and being a guest on the show, buddy.
Yeah, I always say don't die with the story and you tell it. And however I can share my story on whatever platform, I'm going to do it. When you're with WWE, I always say you kind of need permission to wipe your butt. But when you're an independent contractor, uh, there's no such thing as a bad interview. So I'm always sharing my story. And someone like you and the masses that support me and follow me and contribute and support my Block the Hate movement, I do appreciate it. So I'm a
Oh,
man of my
definitely.
word. I'm a man of my word, and I'm happy to tell my story with you.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. And that's funny. You mentioned the WWE because I I got a couple different wrestlers from them, and Alexa Bliss was one of them. And oh
Okay.
my God, like it was like 2 months before the interview even happened. I got sent pages to sign and
Yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
and I was like,
That's how it is. When you're under WWE's conglomerate, you have to abide by the rules. And I always say, like Triple H, you either adapt or perish. That was his line, and it still holds true today.
oh, definitely, yes. And I be, before we get into talking about wrestling and stuff,
Yes.
I wanted to ask you. You were in a musical, the Little House of the Fairy. So I
Yes.
wanted to ask like how you got involved in that and why you wanted to get involved with it.
Well, to backtrack to, you know, when I speak, I'm all over the place. So you're gonna have to kind of keep me on track. I think it was September September 2019. I had ran into Lance Hoyt at a show in Pomona, California, and him and I go way back to Florida Championship Wrestling in 2010. And when we ran into each other in 2019, we were just chatting it up, and he was asking me, "Oh, well, what's going on with you?" I said, "I'm just keeping it moving, but I've always had goals and aspirations of doing New Japan." And he was with New Japan at the time, and he said, "Well, New Japan has a show at the Globe Theater in California," and he gave me this, and I still
Nice.
have it to this day. So this was November 2019. I attended the show. I got there early, 5 o'clock. At the time, 18 years plus in the business. I wanted to get there early and feel the ring and see the ambiance at the Globe
Hmm.
Theater. And the one question I kept running in my head the entire time was, do I fit in? Do I fit in? Do I fit in? And after I watched the New Japan show, and it was all said and done, I said to myself, man, I can hang with these guys. And then that's when I met Rocky Romero, who ultimately, in the deeper part of the pandemic, blessed me with an opportunity to do New Japan Strong. So
Nice.
that whole encounter with Lance Hoyt and Rocky in September and November, that was 2019. And then, again, missing no days off, I had signed on to do a musical December 2019 because, again, Chris Jericho, I always say, was a big inspiration in me doing the musical because of his stint with Dancing with the Stars. And at 36, when I signed on to do the musical, I said to myself, at 26, I probably wouldn't have done it because I was just very fearful and all that stuff. But Chris Jericho was a big inspiration in me actually doing the musical because he's got a rock band. He's involved in this. He's involved in that. He's involved in so many projects,
Oh
and
yeah.
uh, and I really admire that. So December 2019, after my whole encounter with New Japan, I've got to keep it moving, and I signed on to do this musical, Little House on the Ferry, where I was one of the lead actors.
Nice.
When you have the lines written down, that's and you get them down, that's great. But when you involve singing, dancing, and I had no experience with any of that, um, it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. But I would do it again in a heartbeat because I'm comfortable with myself. And, before I came out, we all have those hidden blocks, those hidden
Hmm.
blocks that we don't want anyone to see us fail or any of that stuff. But once you unlock those hidden blocks, you get access to so much cool stuff where I was singing and dancing. A project that I had signed on, and then I said, I can't do it. I can't do it because I was working with the director. Uh, and I couldn't stand him at the time. But once I got to work with him through Zooms and working with him in person all of January and February, I fell in love with the project and I fell in love with the director. And thankfully, the musical ultimately got picked up by Broadway On Demand. And I believe Deco, which is another live streaming network, so they're looking to do more seasons of Little House on the Ferry, which was a musical about LGBTQ marriage equality,
Oh, nice.
and based out of Fire Island. So it's been,
Oh, okay.
you know, I do my projects, and like Tom Hanks says, when you prepare for roles, you have to, or prepare for auditions, you just have to prepare for it, go in, knock it out, and then move on to the next audition. So with these projects, it was fun doing the musical, and then I had to move on to other projects, but I couldn't because the pandemic hit. That's when the pandemic hit.
Uh,
The last, I did the musical Valentine's Day. We wrapped it up. We were shooting the reality part and we were rehearsing. January, February, and then the pandemic literally hit. So I always say when the pandemic hit, I didn't stop.
yeah.
Gyms closed. I had to do my workouts Rocky style in the backyard. I had to get the TRX, the suspension training gimmicks that really have helped my mobility out a lot. I've had to invest in a kettlebell and resistance band, so I stayed in shape. I always say you stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
That's true.
And you know, I'm blessed with the opportunity with New Japan. I was blessed earlier in 2020 to do the musical, and like I said, I'd do the musical again in a heartbeat. If
Nice.
they do a second season or whatever, if I can be on top of the project again, I've got to clear with New Japan because I'm with them.
Well,
Uh,
yeah.
I would do I would do the project again in a heartbeat.
Oh, wow, nice. So now, since you got that bug now that you're, do you see yourself doing like films or television series or anything like that?
Well, that's the goal. I always say just because moves aren't being announced doesn't mean moves aren't being made.
Yeah.
I've moved out to LA right before my release. I got released from WWE October of 2017. I had moved out
Hmm.
to LA full time August of 2017 because I don't want to compare myself to Michael Jordan, but I always say Michael Jordan can't play basketball forever. He can't be in the
Well, yeah.
NBA forever. So for me, I've still got a lot left in the tank. And once my release happened with WWE, I didn't stop because I was already out in California making moves. And, I've done some small projects here and there, some non-paid projects, some very low-paying projects
Oh,
because
okay.
I don't have that experience. And I always uh, I always say that my social media is an open diary to the world. So anything I ever post always comes from the heart with the intent to inspire, motivate, and educate the masses. So if you look through my social media, you can see some of the little small roles that I've had
Yeah.
on Urban Flicks specifically. But yeah, I've got to develop that reel and something Gary V's a motivational speaker, and he's inspired me along with a plethora of other influencers. Is that sometimes you got to do the free stuff to build that resume and to add value to yourself. So again, I check my ego at the door. If I'm busy with other projects, a lot of these small cameos I do aren't a problem for me. So
Okay.
again, I've got to keep it moving. But yeah, anything that pops up, I look into it and I'm on it when it comes to the acting and commercials. I almost got a Cheez It commercial,
Oh,
but
nice.
I was actually doing stuff with the video game WWE 2K22, I believe. I was doing some stuff with them up in San Francisco,
Oh, wow.
so I couldn't do the Cheez It commercial. They wanted me to like do an audition tape when I was actually doing stuff with the video game, and I wanted to do both, but I just realized that I don't want to cram 10 pounds of crap into a 5-pound bag. So I just kindly said to the Cheez It spot that I can't do it. I'm signed to do mocap, the video game
Yeah.
stuff in San Francisco, which they took care of me greatly. And yeah, when I have a lot on my plate, sometimes I just have to just take a deep breath and just say, all right, I got to take one thing out. And I was already involved with WWE 2K22.
Okay. Okay. Sweet. So like does that mean your character of Darren Young's going to be in the video game?
Yeah, the movements. I was doing a lot of the NXT guys, like a lot of their entrances and their moves. There's a whole
Oh, wow.
process to it. If you like Google or look up, if you're familiar with the video game, they got the 2K team in the San Francisco area. So they'll hire guys like me recently, TJP and a plethora of other guys
Oh,
to
wow.
to do the entrances and to do the moves. It's a lot of fun, and they take care of you financially. They put you up in a hotel. Again,
Nice.
no days off, so it's fun for me. And Eli Drake was actually the guy that got me the deal with mocap, and then he got signed shortly after. I guess when they called him up, he was probably I'm probably gonna get signed from WWE. I'm gonna probably get signed with WWE, and mocap was like, "Do you know any other wrestlers?" And then that's when Eli Drake reached out to me, and I did mocap a couple times. So yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Nice. And I see you also, like, I was looking through your page, and you're always working with a ton of different things. Like I see you did Big Peach Treats and Glitch. I think it was like
Yes,
energy drink, and water is a cure water.
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, my social media is an open diary to the world. So anything I ever post always comes from the heart. And like I said earlier, when the pandemic hit, I didn't stop, with the workouts, the Rocky style workouts in the backyard. And then with social media, what I did because everything shut down, I simply
Hmm.
reached out to hundreds and hundreds of companies through IG and asked them if they were looking for any athlete ambassadors. And Celsius energy drink, a very popular energy drink. They had signed me for a couple of months during the pandemic.
Nice.
Glitch Energy currently I'm working with. I'm working with them the up until the end of the year, and hopefully beyond. We can continue that relationship. And I'm actually doing MegaCon in Orlando with Glitch Energy. So it's really exciting for August for me because August 12th and 13th, I'll be MegaCon in Orlando with Glitch
Oh,
Energy.
nice.
And then August 13th, I've got to take a flight back to LA because August 14th is my WrestleMania, my New Japan Strong Mania resurgence. So it's something I've worked so hard for. So again, I'm going to be a nervous wreck doing the MegaCon the 12th and the 13th and make sure I make that flight so I can make that fight August 14th.
Sweet. who are you fighting on the card?
I have no idea. They don't have the matches. They don't have the matches up yet. Tickets go on sale June 30th. So once they go on sale, hopefully the world will know what the matches are. You know, who knows? But Moxley will be there, and
Oh, sweet.
it's exciting because he's a big draw.
Oh,
Um,
definitely.
he's a cool guy, and yeah, I can honestly say I'm one of the guys that definitely put him on his butt when it came to edible, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
I love, yeah, I love Moxley. I love Moxley, and I'm glad that he's going to be at Resurgence with us coming August 14th and beyond.
Sweet. And I see you also do a lot with C C CBBD. Like
Yeah,
you do a lot of products with them, and
yes, yes.
you even do roller too for your like your back and arm and stuff.
Oh yeah, anything I use and I can promote and help build other brands, I'm all about it. Social media is like a second job. So Cure Water currently I'm with. I'm they're one of my sponsors. Like I said, Glitch Energy Drink.
Hmm.
And yeah, I just got to keep it moving. When the pandemic hit, again, I didn't stop. So I'm blessed to have all those opportunities and beyond. When it comes to snacking, I love keto snack.
Okay.
Keto snacks. I'm a snacker. I love snacks. So I try to have a lane for everything. Try to have a lane for energy drinks. I have a lane for keto snacks. I have a lane for massage therapy type contraptions. So I've got a lane for everything. So yeah, I by accident I created all that for myself during the pandemic just by reaching out to companies.
Oh,
And
wow.
if I reached out, for example, if I reached out to 75 companies, at least 10 uh, wanted to work with me. So again, my grandfather always said, "One monkey don't stop no show." So I've got to keep it moving. I've got to keep it grinding.
Nice, nice. And so like what does your workout routine can contain? Because you're in top to bottom amazing shape, and like like what kind of stuff do you do? I mean, now gyms are back,
Yeah.
so I'm sure you're hitting up gyms too now and everything,
Yes.
right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, when the pandemic hit, I didn't stop with my workout. So in the backyard, March of 2020, I was doing high volume squats, just every day to keep my legs, conditioned. I'm more conditioned than I've ever been, just because of the high volume training. I don't know if you're familiar with TRX, the suspension training, like
Oh, okay.
the yellow straps you might see at the gym or come up on your timeline. That's been really good because the suspension training, it's all body weight stuff. So I'm 225, 230 pounds. So
Wow.
it's like you're lifting your body, and I've gotten great mobility, even more better mobility in my shoulders.
Yeah.
Because wrestling takes a toll on your body. A lot of guys, knock on wood, I don't have bad shoulders. I've got to knock on some wood. But some guys are just beat up. Their their arms are like that. So I pride myself on mobility, and I don't want to lose it because I've worked on it so hard during this pandemic with no gym. So recently, probably June 1st actually, is when I started easing my way back into the gym and not neglecting my outdoor workouts because it's hot in LA. I
Yeah.
like working out outside. I love sweating.
Okay.
As a kid, and I'm sure we'll get into it. I always say when I do a lot of my speaking engagements about bullying, I was an overweight kid and had a speech impediment, but I didn't let those disabilities hold me down. I got a speech pathologist when I was in elementary school and junior high school, and eventually you grow out of it. But for me, it comes and goes. If I'm nervous or especially when I was doing the Nexus stuff, I wasn't comfortable with myself. I wasn't
Yeah.
out to the world. So if I'm given something to speak, I'll stumble and fumble, and I just wasn't confident in myself. I was young, a lot more confident now. So, yeah,
Wow. Yeah, that's why I wanted to ask you about that, because I was listening to an interview you were doing. You said you had a speech issue when you were younger, and
yes,
and I guess I was born into it. I don't know, because ever since I was a little kid, I have a speech issue, stuttering,
yeah,
and
yeah,
I've had that from when I was a kid through my teenage years up until now. And I've seen therapists and everything, and nothing ever worked. So it's something I have to live with. And but I mean, now I'm like dealing with it, and I'm trying to own it. That's why, like, when I do my
yeah,
podcast, I say I'm the host that stutters, and I own it now. But like when I was a teenager and stuff, it was brutal because I was constantly
yeah,
getting bullied and teased, and they would always want me to say sentences because they would want me to stumble over my words. And
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, it's rough when you're younger, when you're like a teenager, because uh, everyone's speaking great and you're the only one that's speaking and stumbling over every other word. And
Trust me, I've been there, but I'm happy that you embraced it and didn't let it be a disability for you, because no one should be bullied for the way they speak, the way they look, the way they dress. Embrace you, and I'm happy to see that you're embracing who you are. My whole Block Hate movement is so near and dear to my heart. It's not just an LGBTQ movement; it's a
mhm.
movement for anyone that gets bullied in the silence, bullied for various reasons, and it's very important for me. And I sleep great at night when I'm able to give someone like you an opportunity to vibe with me and talk with me, and that's what it's all about. I won't stop fighting bigotry and hatred until I'm 6 feet under. So I've got a
Oh,
lot of work to do. I've got my Block the Hate movement that is, so important, especially nowadays with cyberbullying being one of the
mhm.
number one forms of bullying. All forms of bullying are bad. So I always say, if anyone on my social media doesn't have that support system, be a part of my support system on social media, especially during the holidays. I always say I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, but I am a friend. So if I can be a friend to you or the masses that look up to me for inspiration, then so be it. And I always say, just as much as my audience looks up to me for inspiration, I look up to guys like Matthew McConaughey,
Yeah.
Denzel Washington, Will Smith, Tom Hanks. Those are guys that I gravitate to and learn from and see why they do what they do. So I can just only imagine how much of my audience looks up to me for inspiration,
Oh,
especially when it comes
definitely.
to supplementation. Supplementation, people want to know what energy drink you're taking, what creatine you're taking. They just want to
Mhm.
know. And during this pandemic, what helped me a lot with working out outside was Instagram. A
Oh,
lot of
wow.
professionals that post their workouts, functional type training. I'm not talking about sitting under a bench and
Mhm.
benching. I'm over that. I don't do any kind of barbell bench work.
Oh,
I do all dumbbell work, functional stuff that can translate to what I do in the ring.
okay.
Like when I do my podcast, for example, I like to do it standing up because, you know, again, I like to be active. I don't like sitting down for too long, because when you sit down, especially driving from city to city, your hips are out of whack. So I like sitting up and standing when I do podcasts.
Oh, okay. Okay. That's good. And like I'm really glad to see that you're doing something like this to block block the hate, because I
Yes.
mean, sadly there's so much hate that's out there, whether it's race or being
Yeah.
gay, or like
Yeah.
someone like me with like a speech issue. and
Yeah.
um and like a friend of mine, he has a younger cousin, teenager, and he's
Mm-hmm.
in high school, and
Mm-hmm.
the area that they live in is like really like Christian, and
Uh,
he's, he's gay, and
yes.
he don't want to tell nobody. Like the only
Yeah.
one who knows is my buddy. Like he's the only one that knows,
Mm.
and like he goes in school every day and has to put on, the fake smile and act like,
Yeah.
and when all his buddies are talking about girls, he has to go along with it. And
I've been there. I've been there. Yes, I've been there. But keep going. I'm listening. I'm listening.
and like I feel bad for him because like he can't be who he wants to be. He can't be his true self because he's scared of being bullied, and he's scared how his parents are going to take it, scared how
Yeah.
his friends are going to take it.
Yeah.
And like it shouldn't be like that, but there are a lot of areas that are still like that, and it's sad to see. And like, what advice would you give for someone like that who's like, you know who can't really come out yet because afraid of being bullied, or afraid of his Christian parents, or
Yeah. Yeah, what worked with me, for me personally, is telling my inner circle of family members and my friends, my closest friends. I probably told a handful of people. 20, what did I say? 28, wait, yeah, 2018. No, when did I, 20, uh, 2 years before I made my announcement to the world.
oh,
Yeah, I had told my family, and once you have the support of your family, the sky's the limit. They have your back. That's most important. I could conquer anything with the support of my family. So that's what it took me, to come out publicly, ultimately to the world. And I always say that my fight is much more bigger than in the ring. I didn't realize that my story was a big deal when I came out publicly until, of all
mhm.
people, the icon Cher reached out to me on social media,
Oh my God, get out.
and yeah, and she said, in the DM on Twitter, and I screenshot the message, the conversation, just to have forever. She said,
Oh,
you know, she heard my story of coming out publicly, and because of her hearing my story, one of her good friends, who's a big wrestling fan, came out to his family. So it was that minute that I realized that my story had a galvanizing effect. I love using the word galvanizing because galvanizing means it had a sudden change on the wrestling and entertainment world. Um, and I always say I'm not the first and I'm not the last, but I am someone that has paved the way for other LGBTQ athletes to come out and be themselves. And when you
God.
come out, you have a duty to instill confidence in our youth and to lead by example. So you got to represent someone like Sonya Deville, Jake Atlas, Sonny Kiss,
Yeah.
Paro, a plethora of other. I know I'm missing people, but those are just names I can just think of off the top of my head. They've got to represent. They can't just talk about it. They got to be about it. And I would say none of us are strong as all of us. So, your friend that's scared to come out, no one should ever hold a gun to your head and force you to come out. You should come out when you feel comfortable. But I can tell your friend this: when you do come out, the weight will definitely be lifted off your shoulders, and you'll be unstoppable.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And like there's another wrestler when you were talking just now. Like I I I actually, because I used to wrestle, and I don't do it now, but
Mm.
I used to wrestle the local circuits,
Oh,
and
okay.
and
That I mean, that's where I started. I started wrestling in venues, VFWs, halls with no
yeah,
shower,
yeah,
no
yeah,
toilet. So
exactly, yeah.
yeah, I've done all that stuff. So I understand, but I'm listening.
Well, one wrestler that I was on a lot of shows with, I became really cool with him. You ever hear of Ant, Anthony Bowens?
Mm.
Yeah,
Yes, I know Anthony. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
definitely a
he's
trailblazer.
super,
Definitely, yeah.
super nice. Super,
Mm.
super nice guy.
Wait, what area are you from?
Philly.
Okay, Philly. All right, cool. So, what shows have you been on with him?
Oh my God. I was on JCW, the Jersey Championship Wrestling when that was
Okay.
still something yet. C
Oh,
C CZW, um,
CZ. Ooh.
and WS with the owner was Dapper. I don't know if you ever heard of
Oh
that.
yeah, yeah. Dapper Johnny was the first. He was the first promoter outside of IWF, Independent Wrestling Federation, in West Paterson, New Jersey. I think he changed the name of the city, but yeah, before I got out and made a name for myself, NWS was one of the first promotions I started working with.
Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, I was with them for a nice little bit, and he
Oh,
was
from when to when?
um like because I did it from like 2004 up until like 2008 and 18. That's when like I
Oh
stopped.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely there sometime in 2004, 5, 6,
Oh
7,
wow.
8. I'm sure I was there. I was doing the shows in Long Branch and Manville, New Jersey.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
Garfield, New Jersey. So I
Yes,
was,
exactly.
my name back in the day was Bone Crusher Fred Sampson. So,
Okay,
uh,
yes. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I don't know if you remember that, but yeah, I remember Dapper Johnny very well.
Nice, nice. Wow, that's something.
Yeah.
And like when you were with the WWE, you did you did something with a wrestling icon Bob the back
Oh yes,
Backlund.
yes,
Like
yes.
how was it like working with Bob?
Yeah, I did autograph signings a couple years before we had got paired together. And Bob is very energetic, and I'm very the opposite. He likes to do his autograph signing standing up. I also like to do my autograph signing standing up because I like to get personable with the fans.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say they're not my fans and my family once we make that relationship. But I said to myself after doing several appearances with them, one being for Special Olympics, which is near and dear to my heart. I said to myself, man, after I'm done teaming with Titus because we 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 we've broken up, we've made up, we've broken up and made up. Just that's just the way it is,
Hmm.
storylines.
Yeah, exactly.
And I said, man, after I'm done teaming with Titus, I want something like a manager or a life coach. So it was actually my idea. Um, I stole the idea from, and Tom Hanks always says, I've got to steal this line from Tom Hanks. Tom Hanks always says, "You're dope if you don't steal from the greats." So I stole the idea, Mike Tyson and Cuss, his trainer, because Mike Tyson was very laser-like focused with Customato, and I had took the idea, wrote it up, as Bob Backlund as my life coach, and I had a visual of Mike Tyson and his former trainer Customato, and me and Bob Backlund. And I always say the most intimidating thing about Vince McMahon is his office door. Once you get through his office door, the sky's the limit. And I learned that through Titus because Titus was always the vocal one. I was always the
Yeah.
quiet one. And there would be times when we wouldn't be on Raw and he would come busting in Vince McMahon's door, be like, "Hey, boss, what you got for us?"
Oh my
And
God.
like we would always laugh and chop it up, but I was always nervous. So
Yeah, I bet.
after not being so nervous, just walking in the door, I knew that this was my shot to propose this idea with Vince McMahon about me with Bob Backlund. And I remember going in his office, and the time was like 20 minutes total of us talking about the idea. We also talked about yoga because he asked me, man, Darren, how do you get such a big barrel chest? And I said, yoga. Yoga kind of fixes your posture so you're not so slumped over. It
Yeah.
kind of elongates you. And he was very intrigued by it because it seemed like he had never done yoga before.
Oh,
And
wow.
I hope he's doing it now at his age because it definitely can save you. Um, but yeah, we talked about yoga. We talked about the storyline, and it was Vince McMahon who contacted Bob Backlund personally about
Oh,
this opportunity coming back and being Darren Young's life coach. So it was my idea, and again, I'll never say a bad thing about Vince McMahon because he gave me that opportunity. I always say it's just unfortunate that those that work under him
mm-hmm.
didn't have my back.
Yeah.
Back in the '80s, it was just Vince McMahon and Pat Patterson doing the booking. But nowadays, you have Vince McMahon and 8 or 10 other
Oh,
writers and
yeah.
producers, and our futures, as you can see today, a lot of releases. Our futures are controlled by pencil. They can pencil you in and erase you out. And erase you out. You just have to maximize your time with WWE. And you know, I still use WWE as a platform to elevate myself because I always say I beat my body up for many years, and
Yeah.
my relationship with WWE didn't start in 2009, May 4th when I got signed. 2009. It started back in 2003 when I was doing extra work and being told no
Okay.
over 40 times. Northeast area doing the Madison Square Garden, Meadowlands, doing all the arenas. Whenever WWE was in the Northeast area, the um, the coach at the time, Dr. Tom Pritchard,
Oh, yeah.
uh, who was a huge scout, a huge supporter of me, he would always tell me back in 2004, 5, 6 to just show up to these TVs in the Northeast area, and if you get used, they can pay you. If they don't use you, just stay quiet. So that's how I, got that on the job training of just being an extra uh, and it was also, God rest his soul, Shad Gaspar. He would always see me backstage as an extra, and he would always, because at the time I did have an afro, he would bring me into the male talent locker room, and this is when Ron Simmons was still with WWE, and he would always say to Ron, "Hey, Ron, I got your son here." And that's how all of the WWE talent back in the day, 2004 and 5, that's how they all got to know me as Ron Simmons' son.
Oh my
So
God, that's funny.
uh, everyone from Michael Hayes, they all got to know me very well. And ultimately, I got signed in 2009. So I would say my relationship goes way back with them. I have no hard feelings. I had already moved out here to LA to pursue opportunities and do my thing
Mm-hmm.
because I don't want to have any regrets, and I don't
Yeah.
because I'm with New Japan now, which has always been an intimidating organization for me because of the style. I didn't think I could do it until I watched the show. You know, November 2019, and then the rest was history. But I've always been a fan of the New Japan style, and to have match of the year with Filthy Tom Lawler with New Japan, that's probably like my biggest compliment ever in wrestling.
Nice.
To have
Nice.
match of the year for New Japan Strong with Filthy Tom Lawler, and the biggest compliment from my peer Tom Lawler is he said that he never thought in a million years that he would get in the ring with someone like me, Darren Young, Fred
Oh my
Rosser,
God.
but he realized the minute that we touched that it was going to be good. So that's coming up on a year anniversary that me and Tom Lawler with New Japan collided. So
Nice.
hopefully we can do it again. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm on cloud nine with all of these opportunities that
Oh,
I'm
I bet.
getting with sponsorships and then finally getting signed to New Japan, which has always been a bucket list of mine. I did it. I always say without commitment, you'll never start. But most importantly, without consistency, you'll
Mm-hmm.
never finish. You've got to be consistent. but you got to be committed. If you're not committed, you'll never start. You know,
Oh yeah,
when
exactly.
when my release happened with WWE in 2017, I didn't give up. I didn't stop. You know, and now 2021, 2021, being with New Japan, you know, I'm on cloud nine.
Yeah, because new Japan Pro Wrestling. Like from when I was a kid, like I loved watching at wrestling league because I mean you had everyone there. Like even the big stars here went there to wrestle. You had Hogan and
Yeah,
Flair and Jericho and Vader
and
and
yeah, and people don't think that you know, Hogan, when he was with WWE, he was a entertainer. You know, he
oh
was an
no, he
entertainer.
really wrestled there over in
Exactly.
Japan.
Exactly. One of my favorite matches, watching him and Muda. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes.
Hogan could go. You know, so for me to be able to do my thing with New Japan, and I'm not fancy. I don't do any flips. Like 19 years in the business, I can't. When I get this opportunity, I can't overthink it. You know, I can't be like, oh, for me to get over or whatever, I need to do all these flips because that's not my strong point. You know, my
Hmm.
strong point is, you know, just headbutting you, punching you in the face, putting you on the ground. You know what I mean? If you're flying in the air, to swat you down like a fly.
Yeah, yeah,
So that's my bread and butter, you know, and you know, being physical.
yeah,
You know,
exactly.
again, everyone knows it's entertainment what we do, but that believability is so important. I want that person in the front row to be like, "Oh wow, man, that looked good," or "Wow, I think he's hurt."
Hmm.
You know, uh, that means you've done your job, and I pride myself on being physical. I pride myself on making stuff look as believable as possible and putting on a show like no other.
Nice. I mean, I'm sure it would have been great like if they were still in their prime yet to wrestle like a great Muda, Antonio Inoki, Yushin
Uh,
Liger, like
well, you know, Great Muda, you know, for me, September 11th will be 19 years I've been rocking and rolling. Some of my biggest inspirations today that I still watch and I still Google, I mean, YouTube, I still like to watch Great Muda stuff. I still like to
yeah.
watch Randy Orton stuff. It's about it's about how they do it, not what they do. You know what I mean? It's how they
Hmm.
do it, the in between stuff that it's hard to explain to someone, uh, you know, that has no experience in the ring. So it's just like repetition of just, you know, the in between stuff. Like Randy Orton, he'll throw one strike, he'll throw another, but he'll just take his time. The Great Muda, he's very slow and methodical,
Yeah.
but he can be explosive, you know. So I try to, and no one else knows by watching it, watching my stuff. Oh, he's trying to be like the Great Muda, or he's trying to be like Randy Orton. No, I just like I channel their energy, you know, and I make it my own. Again, like I
Mhm.
said earlier, Tom Hanks said it best. You're dope if you don't steal from the greats. And the Great Muda and Randy Orton, big supporter of me. I steal from the greats like them.
Nice, nice. So which year did you get signed to new Japan? Was it in 2020 or this year?
This year, recently,
Okay.
probably I guess a week ago, 2 weeks
Oh,
ago,
really?
I signed exclusively with them, which means that I can still work for other organizations, which is great. But New Japan comes first. So if I ever have an opportunity with anything else besides New Japan, all that has to be cleared with the New Japan office. So yeah, I can kind of have my cake and eat it too. When you're with WWE and you're under their conglomerate, you know, you have to do as they say. But with
Mhm.
New Japan, I can do other opportunities. I can be a part of MegaCon with Glitch Energy. I can be a part of any other wrestling organizations that want to book me, and I'm going to
Oh,
make that
okay.
known. I'm going to make that known on social media, Twitter, and Instagram, in a post about promoters that might be curious in using me. They just have to go through me and then ultimately go through the New Japan offices.
Nice. Okay, nice. And I saw one of your posts, like there's a theme song out now for you, right?
Yeah, I just dropped it. No Days Off. Done by, I call him Iron Mike Tarver from the Nexus. He was big into the rapping. He's a great singer, great rapper, and to have him doing No Days Off for me, something that's just been approved by New Japan. I can't wait to rock
Nice.
it out in August and beyond because it's something that I sway a lot differently too. It's everything. If you listen to the lyrics, it's just incredible. It makes me tear up. It makes me tear up. So yeah, I'm excited that New Japan really embraces the Block Date movement and embraces this new theme song. I can't wait to hear it live.
Oh man. And like, how's it gonna feel to finally be in front of a live crowd?
Well, I mean, that's the true test for me. That's the real true test because we've just been doing these studio tapings,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, that's where the nerves kicks in for me because I haven't wrestled in front of a crowd. I would say November of 2019.
Oh wow.
November 2019. So, like, if you want to talk about it, it's almost 2 years,
Yeah.
so I'm very excited and very blessed to have this, and I'm going to hit a home run. And just to be on the marquee, that's a first for me. Being on the marquee for New Japan Strong's first show with fans in over 15 months, Resurgence, it's a big test for me. And I can't, I was telling Rocky Romero, I can't sleep. I've been working out harder than I've ever worked out in my life. I'm coming in there over prepared. So like one of my favorite actors, I said Matthew McConaughey. When you get these roles, you got to go in there prepared, and then when you go in there prepared, you can play around. Being prepared meaning having your wind.
Yeah.
Not tired and all that stuff. So my conditioning is impeccable.
Nice, nice. And the new Japan wrestling shows are on the Fight TV, right?
Fight TV or New Japan World, all the links and all that stuff. You can look on Twitter, Instagram, and yeah, you can find all that stuff about when you can see New Japan. I always say it's the hardest working hour on Friday nights, and I'm proud to be a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. Now the wrestling there is it's amazing. Like it's hard hitting and just everything about it's great. And like the crowd in J, J, Japan, like they stay silent through the match.
Yeah, they're pretty respectful.
Yeah, yeah,
I know during the pandemic they weren't allowed to everyone had to be masked. I know that they weren't allowed to like shout. If
hmm,
someone gets thrown around the ring, they just applaud,
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
it's gonna be a little different with the New Japan Strong shows here in LA. I know that masks are gonna be required because
okay,
it is a New Japan Strong run Japanese event. So masks are definitely going to be required. It's going to be interesting with the cheering here in the U.S. because a lot of other sports platforms you can cheer, and some people have masks on, some people don't. But this is going to be a tight show. So uh, if you don't want to wear a mask, anyone that's watching, if you don't want to wear a mask, don't come to a New Japan Pro Wrestling show. It is it is what it is. It is what it is.
yeah. And like I've been seeing now, Tony Khan has been like working with different wrestling promotions, and New Japan is actually one of them. Like he brought over a a couple guys to wrestle on his shows, and so I mean that's good too because like you can I mean since you're signed with them, you might be able to do both.
Well, the thing is, I tried AEW not once but twice, and they said no. But my all-in goal wasn't AEW; it was New Japan. So I
Yeah,
pursued New Japan with laser like focused. And it's very important for me. I always say it to my friends, and I always say it in interviews. It's very important for me to stay in my lane. The minute you veer off, that's how you get into accidents, when you don't stay in your lane. My lane is New Japan. I see what everyone else is doing. I'm not going to deny that through social media. I see what WWE's doing, AEW, Impact, NWA. I see what they're all doing, and I want them to succeed, you know.
Yeah,
But
exactly.
I'm staying in my own lane with New Japan strong. Bottom
Okay,
line.
okay, nice, nice. And like, what music do you like? Like, what's on your playlist?
No, that's a good question. I'm a big R&B head, you know, so I discover a lot of my artists, up and coming artists, through Spotify. So I love hearing the new vibes that are, you know, being broadcast on Spotify. I've been an R&B head since, you know, I came out the womb. I,
Nice.
you know, when I ultimately came out publicly and I was riding with Mark Henry and Titus, I did all the driving. So I would tell them, hey, if you guys want me to drive, you guys got to listen to what I like, because I always say there's a time for the hippity hoppity stuff, but I like relaxing
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
Relaxing music. For example, someone like Stevie Wonder or Luther Vandross. I like old school R&B, and I like new school R&B. So again, if you're riding with me 300 miles, it's going to be all relaxing music. All relaxing music.
Nice, nice.
Yes, yes. Even preparing, even working out, even preparing for my matches, it's got to be relaxing, because once I hit that curtain, so it's tough for some people to keep up with me. You know, once I hit
Yeah.
that curtain, so I save all that energy. I'm not someone like Goldberg that is backstage and he hits his head
Yeah, yeah.
uh, on whatever, a door, right before he wrestles the Undertaker,
Oh
and
my
like,
God, I know.
it is what it is. Like, you would think you're working the Undertaker, calm, cool, and collected.
Right.
Just listen to him. But you get yourself all worked up and you knock yourself out.
Yes.
Again, people have their own ways of preparing. I choose not to do
Yeah, exactly. That's smart.
that.
And it, one my site and my show deals a lot with horror movies, and I always ask like my guests this: are you a horror fan at all?
Well, I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Like a Halloween or like the old school Jason and Freddy. Like, yeah, I'll definitely watch it. But I'm a big fan of like the crime scene investigation shows, like
Okay.
how crimes are solved, or Charles Manson, like kind of like crazy stuff like that, like why people do what they do is very fascinating.
Yeah, exactly. Nice. And you spoke about your podcast. Like when does your podcast air and stuff?
Yeah, well, I started doing the podcast about 2 years ago. Two close friends of mine always said, "You should do a podcast," And eventually, I broke down and I said, "Why not?" And I do it with my real life neighbor who
Oh
I
wow.
met in Los Angeles, Arnold Telegarta. He's a YouTuber, and I had met him when I moved out to LA. And once he found out that we were neighbors, like he was just so excited. And then he's a really cool guy. That's very respectful of the business. He's not very over opinionated. He tries to
Hmm.
see the good in everyone. He saw the good in me. That's why we do our podcast. And for me, it's like therapy. It's practice at me talking when I'm not comfortable talking. If I stutter a lot, well, get out of the habit of stuttering by just doing a podcast. So it's great that you do the podcast, because the more you do it, the more you just get comfortable just with
Exactly.
yourself. So that's why I do the podcast, and I don't do it for the numbers. I do it because, again, it's like therapy. doing it with my real life neighbor. I always call Arnold the professor because he's the professor of wrestling. He knows a lot more than me, you know.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah, he knows a lot more than me, and I hold him high to that, you know.
Nice.
But he's always been a big supporter of me, great ally, and yeah, we haven't done the podcast in a couple of weeks because again, life happens. But our last podcast we did, I talked about how I did the Nexus documentary in June. I filmed it in May actually, and it hasn't. I don't know if it's out, but WWE had reached out to me about a Nexus documentary.
Wow.
It's 10 or 11 years that we attacked John Cena and
Yeah.
tore up the ring. So they contacted me about doing this, and I said, sure, no problem. And I would say if I would have done it for the money, I would have complained a long time ago. I do it for the love and the passion, you know. So when they brought out a camera crew to LA and they started to do the interview, before they started to do the interview, I had on my New Japan Strong jacket, my New Japan jacket. And the producer was like, "Oh, do you mind if you take off the jacket?" I
Yeah,
said,
I'm sure.
"You know, I'm gonna get there." I said, "You know, I'm very proud of this New Japan jacket, and you guys just inducted Jushin Liger into the Hall of Fame. I just
Hmm.
talked to John Laurinaitis a couple weeks ago in May about a collaboration between WWE and New Japan. You know, so why can't I just be me? You know, why can't I just be a part? If there is a collaboration, why can't I be a part of the bridge? You know what I mean?
Right?
Like, and I had told New Japan about it. They thought it was funny. I said, no, I'm not taking this jacket off. I didn't say it like that, but I told New Japan, I said, I'm not taking this jacket off. I'm very proud of this track jacket. So
Yeah.
we we still did the interview. The producer was like, no problem. You sold me on it because I came across very passionate. You know, I'm proud of this. I worked hard for it. You know, you guys released me in 2017. Hey, stuff happens. And then in 2021, you want to interview me about a Nexus documentary and have me take off my jacket? Absolutely not. Because 10, 11 years later, you know what I mean? I'm not some broken up wrestler, you
Well,
know,
yeah.
broken down wrestler, you know? I'm someone that's confident. 10, 11 years later, I'm still at it.
Oh,
I'm not
definitely.
dried up. I'm not dried up. I'm not washed up. I'm proud of it.
That's funny. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Absolutely not. Absolutely. Yeah. And if you go to my social media, you can see me with the Nexus armband, the original Nexus armband,
Yeah.
and me with my New Japan jacket. Because, yeah, I'm here to talk about the Nexus, but I know you're going to ask me, so what's next for you? New
Yeah.
Japan Strong. You know?
Nice. Nice. That's awesome. That's awesome. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
And is there anything coming out that you want to talk about? Like, is there doing another play or like the wrestling? Like, is there anything coming up you want to plug?
Yeah, like I said earlier, just because moves aren't being announced doesn't mean moves aren't being made. Again, I'm constantly working on my social media sponsorships, which is rocking and rolling for me. New Japan Strong. Again, I'm staying in my lane with them. August is going to be a big, big, big month for me because we have Resurgence, the first live show for me that I'm preparing for, and working with the Glitch Energy beforehand in Orlando, Florida. I'm very blessed with these opportunities. So I'm that's all that's on my plate now that I can verbally talk about.
Yeah,
New Japan
definitely.
Strong and my sponsorships. Everything else, when it happens and I sign on something, the world will finally know. But I never want to put out news that never happens because then I look
Right.
like an idiot. Like uh, But again, I can talk about leading up to New Japan. Always won 2017, 2018, 19. Always talking about doing interviews. When
Mhm.
people ask me, well, what are your goals? What do you want to do now? New Japan, New Japan, New Japan. I spoke it into existence. Now look at
Oh yeah, exactly. Exactly. You're there. Like you're one of the guys now on the show.
Yeah, and for them to embrace an African American and also being gay means the world to me. They
Oh,
embrace my
definitely.
block date. They embrace my block hate movement. You embrace my block hate movement. I always say none of us are as strong as all of us. And the more allies, the more out athletes that we have being visible, the better. And I won't stop again until I'm 6 feet under.
And where can fans find you at? Like, I'm sure the fans know where to find you at by now, but just in case.
Yeah, no, I mean, my bread and butter is Twitter and Instagram at Real Fred Rosser. My government name, I always say, not my old name, Darren Young. My government name, Twitter, Instagram at Real Fred Rosser. Again, I always say my social media is an open diary to the world. So anyone that's listening that doesn't have that support system, be a part of my support system on social media because, again, you've got to be powered by pride, and we're not built to be defeated. You're not built to be defeated. I'm not built to be defeated. So,
Exactly.
again, be a part of my family on social media. That means the world to me.
Sweet. All right. Thank you so much for taking time out of your night to come on the show and do
Yeah,
this. I mean,
anytime,
you,
anytime.
you are Mr. No Days Off, so I'm sure you're
Yeah,
always busy, and I really appreciate you taking time out to do this.
yeah. Mr. No Days Off. I'm a man of my word. When we scheduled this, we did it. And now I can eat my food now because I do intermittent fasting, so I don't eat till 6:30, 6 o'clock is when my first meal. I have one big meal. I just load up on water and BCAAs. I drink about 3 gallons of water a day.
Oh
So,
my God!
uh,
Wow.
yeah, the BCAAs, the branched chain amino acids, I drink that throughout the day so I don't burn any muscle. So the intermittent
Oh,
fasting, the fasting works for me. If I have a wrestling show and shows don't start till 7, 8, I
yeah,
won't eat till
exactly.
after. So I won't eat till 9:30, 10 o'clock. But yeah, I can fast for 20 hours, 24 hours, even more.
Oh wow.
Um, it's just a mindset. It's a lifestyle. I don't like to look at what I do as a diet because anything with the word diet in it is no good.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
no one sticks to a diet.
that's true.
You probably don't stick to a diet. I
No,
don't
I
stick
never
to a
have.
diet. Yeah, no one. So it's a lifestyle. So that works for me. What works for me might not work for you, but I can promise you for me, doing the intermittent fasting and supplementing with BCAAs, it works for me. So yeah, it's time for me to eat.
Okay. Have have fun with your dinner, right? Tonight.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for being a supporter. It means a lot to me.
Thank you, buddy. I'm really happy to help. Thank you.
Yes, yes, heck yeah, heck yeah.
All right, buddy. Have a good night and a good weekend.
You take care and always block the hate and salute the great.
Exactly. Exactly.
All
All right,
right,
all right, buddy.
take care.
All right, man. You too. Thank you.
All right, peace out.
Peace.